Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, First of all, I like to pay my thanks. Let us know my gratitude to our faculty members, the teaching assistants. So to produce us the opportunity to uh, display the presentation I have studied through a presentation, which is on behalf of the partial requirement of the 672, that is the advanced topics in deep learning course. Okay, that was offered during the semester of what semester of August to December 2021. I have selected the articles called Backtrackless Aligned Special Graph Convolution Networks for Graph Classification. Okay, this is a paper. Okay, this is a paper that was offered by offered by emeritus professor and professors belonging from universities in China and Europe. And in this paper, through this paper, they have tried to explore a new avenue of backtrackless spatial graph convolution networks, particularly for the graph classification. So first of all, I come to let me go from the first slide. Okay, so as I mentioned, there is a course. This presentation is designated for a course that is known as advanced topics in deep learning. Okay, in IIT Mandi. Okay, so myself, Subranil Banerjee, I am a MS by research scholar from School of Basic Science Department of Statistics. Okay, so I have selected the topic of backtrackless aligned spatial graph convolution networks for graph classification. This is the article produced by Lu Bai, Lixin Sui, Yuang Zhou, Luca Rossi, Edwin R. Hannock, and Edwin R. Hannock. They all are IIE fellow. The journal reference, the DOI, and the citation the details has also been provided there through this link. So this is a brief outline of the paper. Mostly all the authors, they are belonging from different departments, mainly from the finance and economics department of Central University of Finance and Economics of Beijing, China. And their student, Mr. Yang Zhou, is a student of the same department. Okay, CF Faskari is a lecturer of Queen's Mary University of London, and Edwin R. Hannock is the professor at Department of Computer Science, University of York, UK. So let me go to the next slide. Next slide is speaking about the powerful. There's a concept of graphical representations, that how it is attached, how the things was attached with how the thing was associated in terms of this graphical representation. Powerful tools, because graphical tool representation is always explore the powerful tools to model complex system, to involve data lying on few non-Euclidean spaces. That is the data that is existing in the non-Euclidean spaces. How to explore those data, and how to for a complicated system, how to through this data, how we can the model, the deep learning network model can be featured in accordance with that. Naturally, described in terms of relation between these components, their application can range from the of exploration of chemical compounds, ranging from chemical compounds to point clouds and social networks. The challenge involved in is that mostly the graph-based data knows of the methods to convert graph structures into the numeric counterparts. Okay, there's an existing theoretical gap between traditional convolutional neural network and the spatially based GNN models. And apart from that, there is stuttering problems also. So next slide is about the analysis of graph structure. The method of analysis of graph structure can be separated into two parts. One is the graph embedding methods, and the second one is the graph kernel methods. So in the first one, that we need to convert the graphs into elements of vectorial spaces. And in this case, the standard machine learning algorithms can be straight away applied for for graphical data analysis. Approximating structural correlations for graph in low dimension pattern space is instrumental in this, and which can lead to a which can cause a structural information loss. In this process, in the graph embedding process, it used to ignore the information from multiple graphs because the method usually capture structural features of individual graphs. So the multivariety or the multivarious feature of the graph that can be ignored through this. Second one is graph kernel methods. The graph kernel method is it is to characterize the graph structure in a higher dimensional Gilbert spaces, and thus it better preserves its structural contents. It is to better hold it up. But this also ignores the information from multiple graphs because graph kernels reflect structural characteristics for pair of graphs. It is to operate in conjugation of two graphs. So but more than two graphs or the multiple graphs, there will be always a potential information loss. The process of computing the structural characteristics are separate from the classifier. Okay, structural computation of the graphs is different from the scope of the classifier. Both the graph embedding and the kernel methods cannot provide an end-to-end learning architecture that is from the starting to the end point, the giving and comprehensive architecture that can simultaneously parallelly integrate the process of graph characteristics learning and graph classification. So to learn the feature of the graph and classify the graph parallelly is a bit difficult. Beforehand, this article has been given. So this article has with the motivation of finding a solution for what can put ahead a combined solution considering both these bottlenecks challenges. So they have done a spectral strategy based literature review. Okay, so it is always a kind of the spectral strategy is always convolution operation based. In course of the spectral applications, the eigenvectors of the Laplacian matrix, the spectral domain is being converted to eigenvector of Laplacian matrix. These methods perform the filter operation. They used to do this kind of filtering by multiplying the graph by a series of filter coefficients. Okay. Bruna et al. Have developed a graph convolution network by defining a spectral filter based on computing the eigen decomposition of graph Laplacian matrix. And to overcome the expensive computational complications, its eigen decomposition counterparts, Deford et al., they have approximated the spectral filters based on Chebyshev expansion of the graph Laplacian. Okay, this is reflected in the reference number 21 in their paper. Most of the spectral based approaches can be performed on graphs with different number of vertices and Fourier bases. So most of this spectral based applications or thought process depends on the different number of vertices, how many of the vertices we're considering, and what is the basis of the Fourier transformation that you are thinking. Then now going to the next story, that is about the spatial strategy. These approach generalize the graph convolutions based on spatial structure of graph. By what they are to do, they are to directly define the operation on neighbor vertex, because they are also taking the information of the neighbor vertices, neighbor aligned vertices, and the vertices and their own features. So they are accumulating or they are aggregating, in a better word, the combined effect of their own features and the features of their neighbors. Duvendit et al. Have proposed a spatially based GNN model, which also showcases a spatial graph convolution operation and he performed it on the first layer neighboring vertices to simulate the traditional circular fingerprint. Followed by him, Atwood and Taverley have also proposed a spatially based GCN model, And what they have done, they by performing spatial graph convolutions on different layers of neighboring vertices rooted at a vertex. They also done the same way. These spatially based GCN models have improvement need of further transforming the multiscale features. That is, this GNN models has a pocket of improvement, and from graph convolution layers into fixed size representations. Okay, so that the standard classifier can be directly adopted from the outcome of the classifications. This can be achieved through a direct addition of the local vertex features. And the other option is that the graph convolution operations as global level graph features through a sampling layer. Through a sampling layer, the local level features can be performed, and through that the graph convolution can be achieved. But when reach local vertex topographical information, that is undulation is there, because one data to another data is some kind of variation is there. These spatially based GCN models, where the sampling is being performed, have relatively poor performance when it has been put for a classification task. So the next generation of the GNN models has appeared. So they have taken two such generations. One is the DGCNN and one is the PGCNN. DGCNN is a deep graph convolution neural network, and the PGCNN is a Patty-San graph convolution neural network. Okay, it was proposed by Mr. Zhang et al., Dr. Zhang et al., and it is through a paper of Zhang et al., and the second one is a paper based on Naipur et al. Citation has been given on 32 of the article. The first one, they want to try to preserve more vertex information. They proposed a new sorting pooling layer to transform the extracted vertex features in a of unordered vertex, the vertex that are not in a orderly way that is there, from the spatial graph convolution layers into a fixed size local layer vertex grid structure. So this way they considered a fixed size grid structure on the graph, a conventional CNN model followed by a softmax layer that can directly employ for graph classification. Okay, a bit of advancement on the other hand, have developed this different spatially based model to capture more vertex information through local neighbor vertex. So from asking for the local neighbor vertices, they try to fetch more information about the existing one. And this model also worked based on the normalization. Fixed size local neighbor rooted at the each vertex. Each vertex we have to normalize the features. Whereas the vertices of the each neighborhoods are reordered. Again they are reordered on the same graph, leveling method and graph canonization tools, because they are used the leveling method, the leveling scheme, and the graph canonization is also is used in this scale in these methods. Advantage is that both DGCN and PGCN models can update rich graph characteristics. Okay, they can capture rich graph information, resetting on local level vertices, and outperform the existing state-of-the-art previous GCN models in this way. But they have also limitations. Limitation is that these methods establish the vertex order based on individual graph. So it is not a combined cumulative approach of handling multiple graphs at a time. So in this backdrop, the concept of the Backstrax aligned spatial graph convolution network has appeared. The first point is the model. One of the prime consideration is that it considers the prime transitivity assumes alignment of vertex between graphs. Similar to AGSCN models, the proposed BGS, this model also performs arbitrary sized graphs into fixed size aligned grid structure with consistent vertex errors. Okay, so the fixed size the arbitrary size graphs they're used to convert into a fixed size one, guarantees that the vertices on the same spatial coordinates also transit aligned to the each border. Suppose that is if you have three coordinate wx, wy, and wz. If for two graphs wx and wy is matching, wi is wz is matching, then they will ensure that wz and wx mixing that will also match. The aligned grid structure of the proposed BES GCN model is a kind of backtrackless grid structure. It is a directed graph rather than an undirected graph. Okay, and moreover, they have provided a novel backtrackless spinal graph convolution operation that restricts the well-known tottering problem. They can prevent the tottering problem of the existing GNN models used to suffer. So it has a generational, it is the advantage of generation compared to ASGCN model. But they also further generalize the original model to new backtrackless GNN models to cut short the tottering problems and reflects in a more comprehensive way the graph characteristics. So three contributions are there. One is the fixed track backtrackless aligned grid structures to prevent tottering. It is clear from the subject itself. It is a new transitive vertex alignment approach, okay, to different arbitrary size graphs. And second one is associated grid structure correspond to a directed graph. So it is more direct into nature. It provides a natural backtrackless structure to restrict the tottering problems. Okay, so the vertex is fixed. One vertex is fixed to another vertex. So there is a potential of less amount of distortion. So more enhanced vertex matching. And it is a theoretical relation with classical convolution operations. Still yet, whatever the models like the AGSN, they don't have any clear-cut theoretical correlation with the classical convolution operations. Okay, and as well as the ASGCN model, the proposed graph convolution layer propagates the feature information aligned through aligned grid-based associated backtrackless adjacency matrix. Okay, when the adjacency matrix is being formed, the diagonal matrix, they are also considering the existing, unless for the existing GCNs, what they have to consider the feature information exchange or feature information interaction between this when compared to the convolutional operation was poorer into GCN models. That is these ASGCN models or the similar generation models, when they proposed graph convolution layer propagates the feature information between aligned grids, when they are propagating the features or exchanging the features between the neighboring grids, for the backtrackless adjacency matrix, for the backtrackless operation, the adjacency matrix is much more robust and much more comprehensive. The proposed graph convolution operation can significantly restrict the tottering problem. So it can restrict the tottering problem of information loss, and information is much more and information relevant to sort pooling or sum pooling. It is much more relevant and oriented. The standardized grid structure also ensemble with the theoretical relationship with the classical convolution operations. And apart from that, experiments on widely used benchmarks, it used to showcase that the effectiveness of the proposed method when compared to existing methods. So they have done experimental study also to establish that the effectiveness of their proposed model. So this is the model. This is to have 3 layers from its key. What is the traditional grid structure layer, and second one is what is their approach, that is the backtrackless spiral graph convolution layer, followed by a traditional one-dimensional CNN layer that we will discuss later on in details. So the vertical alignments, and it is fed to the second one with the convolutional layers, and they have showcased this diagram for a one point with 4 neighbors kind of data scheme, and how they are propagating, how they are data mapping is taking place, and how the concentration is taking place in third concatenation is taking data after convolution, how the concatenation is taking place, that also they have reflected through this diagram. Now going to some mathematical part. Okay, so they have the authors have assumed that for all the graphs, they assume they are attached to the k-dimensional vectorial representation, that is Rk with having the member of R1k, R2k, Rnk, and to locate m centers of Rk, okay, to locate the centroid, they have minimized, they have taken a considered a minimization problem of the following objective function. This argmin is it is a summation for z is equal to 1 to m Rik, summation Rik for Ri for value of k, Rik minus mu j k square, so mods, that is we are looking for the minimization formula of this, where phi or where rho is equal to where, yeah, this is subjected to condition that the minimization of this will rho is equal to c1 c2 up to cm. This m is represents that there are m clusters. Mu j k is the mean of the vertex representation belonging to jth cluster of Cj. Okay, that is for the jth cluster. For the jth cluster which is nomenclated as Cj, the mean is designated by mu j k. Assuming G is equal to G1, the sequence of G1 up to followed by a sequence of GP and ending with Gn. All these graph samples at GP having the function of Vp and Ep is a subset of G, is a sample graph of G. For GP, for this function, each vertex Vi of individual elements or individual members, it is belonging from the Vp, and its k-dimensional vector representation are Pik. It is in the dimensionality of k, it has been represented as that in the form of R P I K. They are identified by locating a family of k neighbor dimensional prototype representations. The PRK is this prototype has been designated as a set of member of mu ik, mu jk up to mu mk, considering m clusters. Okay, so they align the vectorial vertex representation of each graph GP to the family of prototypes representation. So from this problem, they have converting it to a kind of prototype problems. Okay, for a k-level affinity matrix in terms of Euclidean distance, so they have considered the Euclidean distance, that is the internal part of the equation of the right hand side. They have augmented the above equation to the form of ASP raised by k, having that is the function of ij, to the mod of RPI raised by k minus mu j raised by k square. Okay, the absolute value raised by square. So here AP raised by k is a m VP mod VP into M matrix, and each of its matrix API kgs corresponds to the value of the distance between RPIK. Okay, for the prototypes, what is the relevant distance between these members that has been reflected by between the neighbors that has been reflected by RPIK, and mu jk is a subset of PRK, it belongs to PRK. If the element of AP raised by k ij is the smallest one in row I, if we consider that way, that the element of APK matrix, ijth matrix is the smallest one in row I. If I get it the smallest amount in the row I, the vectorial representation of RPIK of VVP is aligned to the jth prototype representation, that is mu jk belongs to PRK. That is, the vertex Vi is aligned to the jth prototype representation. This vertex Vi is aligned to the jth prototype representation. Okay, the vertex Vi or that particular considered of the particular mother graph they have considered, that can be aligned to the jth prototype representation that they have considered. They have recorded the correspondence information using the k-level correspondence matrix. That is, they have considered another matrix, that is the k-level correspondence matrix, that is CP raised by k, that belongs to 0 to 1 multiplied by VP into M. Why this matrix has two values 0 and 1. The APK is the smallest in the row I, this takes 1, and this they have, otherwise it is taking 0. So this way they are trying to make it as a tridiagonal matrix. Okay. So this aligned grip, next course of action, they are trying to incorporate the aligned grid structure of graphs. They have considered the previously discussed the transitive corresponding information to map arbitrary size graphs. Okay, to fix track the backtrackless, and align vertex grid structure as well as associated backtrackless of adjacency matrix. They have assumed GP is a function of VP, EP, and AP is a sample graph from graph set of S. So any graph, any sample graph they are taking, and in the set of graph called GP, with VP represent the vertex set, the set of the vertex is represented by VP. EP is the edge set of the edge, and AP represents the vertex adjacency matrix with added self loops. So added self loops is A bar, A hash, this whatever is they have they have considered the A bar is equal to A plus 1, where A is the original adjacency matrix with no self loops, and when and I is the identity matrix. So that is for the adjacency matrix. When they are applying the self loops, they are adding it with an identity matrix. For each graph, they utilize the proposed transitive vertex matching method to compute the k-level vertex correspondence. Okay, that is the for the kth level they try to find out the correspondence matrix CK. From that they can record the relevant information for the k-dimensional vectorial matrix GP and the k-dimensional prototype representation as PR, that is the prototype raised by k, or that is a set of mu I k, mu j k up to mu m k, mu 1 k, mu j k up to mu m k. Okay, with CPK to be hand, we compute the k level. They computed the k level aligned factor feature as xp raised by k, xpk for the k member, okay, or the k cluster, or CPK raised by t, sorry, CPK of transpose of CPK multiplied by xp. Okay, where xpk is a set that is belonging to real number, of that is the M into a matrix set. Each row of xpk is representative of the feature of corresponding aligned vertex. For a vertex, what is the aligned vertex? That is xpk used to give a representative information for that. Associated k-level aligned vertex adjacency matrix as APK is equal to CPK of transpose AP of CPK. Okay, where APK also belonging to a real data set of M into M dimensions. Both XPK and APK are indexed by corresponding products in PRK, because they're indexed with the same or similar way, and they are developing corresponding product with this PRK, this by K. So right now I'm summing up. So they have considered two vertices. For any two vertices, they have understood the similarity by this formula, that is S similarity, whereas S of mu I k, mu j k, and mu k, these 2 points, mu j and k, is exponential minus mu j raised by mu j k minus mu k square by k, and the degree of this product representation, how efficiently this product is been representing the particular data, that has been considered as the mu j k is equal to dr mu j k is equal to 1 to m for sample mu j k and mu kk. So that is for k different value, when we sum this above function, we can get the degree of representation. Okay, so they have also proposed the k-dimensional prototype representation PRK with the degree dr mu z k, and they accordingly they have rearranged XPK and APK whenever they required to construct relevant grid structure for graphs. In this work, they employed the depth-based representation. So they gave to different depth of understanding of the neighborhood relationships, and based on that, they are required compute the k-level vertex matrix computations. done the performed matrix computations. And they have considered the value of k from 1 to L. Okay. So they come up with a formula of xp and ap. With this, xp belongs to 1 to L, xp k divided by L, and similarly ap bar, that is also k is equal to 1 to L, ap bar k L. So as mentioned, because as xpk was belong to the R real data set of m into m dimensions, so xpk will also be the same dimensionality. And the ith and jth column element of AP, that's also corresponding to the grid I and jth member of the ith row and jth column member of the grid matrix. Right now, the next step, what they have done, the probability of classical steady state random walk vertex, they have computed as the probability with the classical steady state random walk visiting the ith vertex for a particular neighbors, the probability of visiting them with for ith vertex as we compute as pi is equal to dp di dp divided by dp dz. They compute the backtrackless aligned grid vertex apj ap raised by d of each graph gp by replacing each bidirectional edge of, that is, they have replaced the bidirectional edge, the directions, the edge that is direction both way, as a directed edge associated with the visiting probability of classical random walks. That is, so they have, for the bidirectional edges, they have replaced it with a visiting with edge having classical random walks in accordance with the visiting probability theories. That is APD VI Vj is it's taking the value of AP bar, the VI Vj, when probability of I less than the probability of j, and if it is otherwise, if it is not that, or that is probability of I less than equal to probability of j, and if it is probability of I greater than probability of j, okay, that is the numerator part of the above equation is greater than the denominator part. Okay. So we will taking the value of 0. This is mostly done to figure the tridiagonal matrix with the 0 value. Okay, excluding these diagonals. Since the vertex feature information cannot immediately propagate back, because there's a scope of information loss over there also, to the starting vertex along a directed edge within the special graph convolution operation. APD, these offers a natural backtrack-like structure to restrict the tottering problem. Okay, what is being suggested in this model? The vertex informations. Okay, vertex information cannot immediately propagate back to the starting, where from the starting, that immediately can't go to back to the structure along a directed edge. Okay, because directed edge is not allowing that. Within this graph convolution operation, APD provides a natural resistance or natural backtrack legs. So it is the backtrack structure. That is the way actually the data can't propagate back. So it is losing the track to its previous features. So it is coming as a backtrackless structure, and when it is being backtrackless, then naturally it is becoming more prudent or more vulnerable to tottering problems. So they have for the AD belongs to R into M into M, for the sample graph they have formulated the backtrackless operation as there are two cases they have considered: in spatial graph convolution operation, out spatial graph convolution operation. Okay, so they have considered a kind of family of backtrackless spatial graph convolution operations for multi-state features, multi-scale features, by propagating features between aligned grid vertices through the backtrackless aligned grid vertex adjacency matrices. Okay, so they have run the ReLU function. Okay, specially given to use this, specially given a sample graph G having the function of having the dependent variables V and E, which is aligned matrix structure, that is X belongs to R, that is a real data set of M into C dimensionality, and for the adjacency matrix, that is AD, that is belonging to M into C dimensionality. The proposed family of Dirac-Less spatial graph convolution operations, the theoretical or the estimated number of operations or estimated operations with the Dirac-Less of spatial graph convolution in spatial convolution as well as in spatial convolution, that is going inside the spatial network and going outside from the spatial network, can be formulated as Z in I, ReLU, D inverse A in bar, Z is equal to I to C, X, this Hadamard product multiplied by WH for all the row, that is this is for all the row and for the jth column in spatial graph convolution operation. Okay, where this one is representing the Hadamard product. A in is equal to AD transpose. If you can A bar D, if you can take a transpose of it, we can get the A in bar. And is in the adjacency matrix. Okay, that is for the ith row, and for the jth column elements of AN corresponds to directed edges to the ith grid vertex from this ith grid vertex. That is AIN represented from edges to the, it is going from the jth grid vertices to the ith grid vertices. That is the AIN cases. And A out cases is just reverse. It is going from the AI to AJ. A out equals to the AD and is out at this matrix. It is for the ith row. Now it is jth column elements of A out corresponds to direct edge from the ith grid vertex to the jth matrices. We are considering this jth grid vertex as the out neighboring vertex of the ith grid matrix. D in bar is the in degree matrix of A in, and D out is the in degree matrix, out degree matrix of A out. So we have went through the expression of degree. This is the expression of degree. Sorry. Yeah, this is the expression of degree, dr mu jk. From this degree, from this expression of degree, this can be figured out. dr in out and dr out bar, that can be figured out. Okay. So there are 4 steps of Dirac-Less spatial graph CNN. Okay. So what we do? First step, they're computing this J is equal to I to C X bar hamdot product of WH for all the row and jth column. Okay. So they are initially multiplying or taking the dot product, hamdot dot product, Hadamard product, and based on that they are doing the summation, taking the summation. In the second step, what they are propagating the weighted feature information between each aligned grid vertex as well as in the neighboring aligned grid vertices. Okay, so they are propagating between the each aligned grid and between the neighboring grids. Here the WH is the trainable parameter of these convolution operations that can directly influence the aggregation process, because it is giving because it is in the step 1 it is weightage or this training weightage, they are giving a input impetus into the figure of X dot Hadamard product with WH. Okay. That it can adaptively discriminate the importance between specified in-neighbor vertices. So if there is kind of unaligned discrimination between these 2 adjacent neighbors, it can discriminate that the importance of considering the same. Now going to the next step, the third step, it is telling about this how of the process of normalization. Each ith row of AIN bar multiplied by y. This y you are getting in the second step, we are multiplying it by AIN bar by multiplying D inverse in II. Okay, where D inverse I through of and what is saying that normalization each course of normalization I through of I in I bar Y. So we are trying to explore the ith row elements of A matrix A in bar Y. How we can do that? We have to multiply the Y value A in bar Y value by Y value with D bar inverse in for the inlet or the incoming for incoming considerations for the ith and II elements, where D in II is the ith diagonal element. For the diagonal matrix, they are considered for the ith diagonal element of the in degree matrix of Di in 1. When it is taking inbound consideration, they are considering taking it as a in degree matrix, and where we are considering it as an outgoing stuff, they are considering as a outgoing out degree matrix. The last step is the operation of the ReLU activation function and outputs the convolution result. Note here to be noted that the formula of the governing formula of evaluating it that I've discussed earlier also, J in H is equal to ReLU D inverse A inverse bar summation J is equal to 1 to C Hadamard product of X bar into WH, the weightage for all the row and the jth column. This can only extract new feature for the aligned grid vertex, and it doesn't take any take any effort to change the order of the aligned vectors. They don't do the alternation of the orders of the aligned vectors. The output is also still an aligned vertex grid structure, so the alignment has not been affected. Alignments keep considered. And similarly for the outbound function also, it is given in the last paragraph, that is ReLU D outbound inverse A bar out for G is equal to 1 to the summation Hadamard product of X bar and training WH for all the row and jth column. Same way to evaluated. Only thing that for this replacing both the adjacent matrix A in and in degree matrix D with A out and D out. Only to replace this. So architecture has three layers. The architecture of this model has 3 layers. The backtrackless grid structure construction there's the input layer. Okay, this is the first one is input layer. Each graph have belonging to the member set of the standard set of graph G, and with aligned grid structure, including the aligned grid structure X, as well as the associated backtrackless aligned grid vertex adjacency matrix A. So there are 2 matrices that are considered. The aligned matrix for the aligned vertex, for those graphs the vertex aligned, they're considering as a matrix of X, and the associated backtrackless aligned grid structure, and the associated backtrackless, though the neighbors the aligned neighbors, they don't have the backtrackless, and they are and the vertex adjacency, they are represented as a kind of with the notation of matrix notation of A. So next stage is the spatial graph convolution layer as usual. The third the layer comprises of this inlet of the backtrackless spatial graph convolution model, focusing on aggregating vertex features of itself. So we're focusing on the aggregating vertex features of itself, and it's in neighboring vertex and out, and from there it is output of this layer as an focusing on aggregating vertex feature of itself and is out neighboring vertices. Okay, so this layer, when it is taking the inlet information, it is considered about the neighbors. They are giving the inlet information to it. Okay, they attach to as a inlet in information supplier, and that is their concern to the source. And for the out outgoing one, the out BAGSCN, they're compound over the sinks where the information is flowing, where the concentration is flowing. And the final step is the traditional one-dimensional CNN layer. This BAGSCN, and for both inlet and outlet, the horizontally concentrated, they horizontally concatenated. Okay, for inlet also they have horizontally concatenated the information Z in T and Z in T for different levels. So horizontally concatenated. Observe each teeth spatial graph, for teeth spatial graph convolution layers associated with the outputs of their previous 1 to T minus 1. So suppose there are 10 spatial, suppose you're taking 10, T is equal to 10. So that is that for the 10 spatial graphs, we will add for 1 to 9 spatial graph convolution layers as well as original inputs. So Z for Z 0 for the first one, and for any for time T, for any layer T is Z 0 T. So the formula is something like Z 0 T is a function of Z. So any T value is a summation of all the values before and coming to this. For any T, it is a summation of all the for any Z value is a function of all the values come up to the point of T minus 1 and for the T value itself also, where the Zin is a belongs to the real data set of dimensionality, row dimensionality of M and column dimensionality of C plus for Z is equal to 1, how HT is varying. And similarly, for Z out T, it is Z out for 0 to T, considering the T minus up to T minus 1 point and the T point. And this should be J out. J out also belongs from for the real data set with dimensionality of M and C plus Z is equal to 1 to T HT. Summation of C plus M into C plus summation of Z is equal to 1 to T HT. So these are the 3 layers. First is the convolution filter, it is going there. Okay, this is adjacency matrix self loops they are creating. You can see in the binary structure they are creating the diagonal matrix 1 1 1 1 0, and how they are taking the matrix value, how they are taking the sum. When they are going to the next step, they are taking 3. Okay, they are straight away adding also all the values available in there. So that is the way they are changing the value. You can if you can check the truth table. Okay, so V1 V2 this table, this adjacency matrix or self loop, and Hadamard product is also shown in the summation of this. And they are for a concatenation of V2, these layers V1 V3 V2 they got concatenated. Where they can't convert the V1 V2 is in the next course of action, V1 V2 V3 V5 this way they are coming there, V1 V3 V5 from the V1 V2 V3. So correspondingly this is coming X21 X22 X21 X22 X23. Okay, so for the concatenation they are doing what they are doing. The formula for Z is equal to 1 for starting from for the Z for any value of Z A in bar 2 to J up to the point of J. For this case, they are starting it for 2 for V2, and for 1 it is set for 1. Okay, so with permission going to the next slide. So they have done an experimentation arrangement, so to just check up the performance of their model with the existing deep learning models. So they have compared with the performance of deep graph convolutional neural networks, patchy sand-based convolutional neural networks for graphs, diffusion convolutional neural network, deep gradient kernel, graph capsule convolutional neural network, anonymous walk embeddings based on future-driven, that's AWE, edge-conditioned convolutional networks, high-order graph convolutional network, graph convolution network based on differentiable pooling, graph convolution network based on self-attention pooling, graph convolution network with eigen pooling, degree-specific graph neural networks. Okay, so all the abbreviations given alongside with these 12 deep learning models. Right now they have computed. They have taken 3 data sets from 4 data sets from the bioinformatics sector, 4 from the social sector. And in the bioinformatics sector, with 4 products, Mutax proteins, DND and PTC, they have evaluated. Okay. And for the social sector, IMDBA 4 data source, IMDBM, RedB, and CollabB. From these pockets, they have taken the informations. Now, for bioinformatics and social networkings, they have computed based on, apart from the BGSCN, they are compared with the DGCNN, PGSCNN, DCNN, GCCNN, DGKWE, and HOGCN. So the level of accuracy compared is much more for all the product, for all this compared to other stuff. It is like for mutagen, it is achieving around 90%. And for uncontrolled BSSGCN, it's around 89.7%. This is for these products. For the bioinformatics products, these models have not used. Rather, they have done with ECC, diffpool, sackpool, eigenpool, demonate. These 5 models, ECC, diffpool, sackpool, eigenpool, and demonate, they have done the bioinformatics study with the bioinformatics application, but not with the social sector application. So there also, they have seen that with the product of mutagens, proteins, DND, and PTC, they got a good level of accuracy. Around 90% for proteins is 76%, for DND 80.71%, for PTC around 61.51%. So now coming to the result and discussion about these papers. These alternative deep learning methods, both on the bioinformatics and social datasets, clearly indicate that the accuracy of the GCNN compared to the accuracy of GCNN, HOGCN, and AWM models on the PTC, IMDM and IMDB datasets are higher than the proposed BGC and BN models. This is a contrary. Okay. These models have a higher than the proposed BGC. These models are smarter for these cases. But the proposed models are still competitive on IMDb and IM datasets, but they're competitive. Their features is not that much inconsiderable. For these for the alternative deep learning methods, only evaluate on the social network datasets. Only the accuracy of eigenpool model on the proteins dataset is higher than the proposed method. Okay. So only for the social dataset, only the eigenpool is being smarter in terms of accuracy prediction, accuracy estimation. Overall reasons for the effectiveness are 4-fold. Overall, if you can cumulative or a average understanding, it is a 4 times higher for the new models. Spatially based GCN models, the trainable parameters with the trainable spatially based GCN models with the trainable parameters of DGCNN, ECC, DCCNN, HOGCNN, demonate, sackpool, and eigenpool models are shared for each vertex. They also share them. Especially for the spatially based GCN models, the trainable parameters are being shared through each vertex. But for the new models, this is much more attached to the classical convolutional operation or standard D structure and can adaptively discriminate the importance between specified. So it can instantly put ahead a discrimination between the specified one. Similar to R convolution graph kernels like DGCNN, PGCNN, DGCNN, DGK, AWE, HOGCN, ECC, sackpool, eigenpool, and demonate. They have the capability of integrating the corresponding information between graphs into learning architecture. In our cases, this paper reflects that the associated unbacktrackless aligned vertex grid structure, okay, that is unbacktrackless, models can preserve more information for original graphs, reducing the problem of information loss. So the information loss is lesser. The behavior of DC, the outcome with DCNN, ECC, and demonate is reversed to our proposed model, because they need to sum up the extracted local level vertex features informations as a global level graph features. So they are considering the local level information to sum up to get the global level features. But this model focuses more on local structures. It's much more locally sensitive, locally explorative. This model, and can procure a much more comprehensive multi-scale vertex features based on local data, local information analysis. The proposed model associated with the backtrackless of aligned grid structure and can outperform associated with the unbacktrackless aligned grid structure. Okay, that is the proposed model with the backtrackless aligned grid structure that is not aligned with the backtrackless can outperform the unbacktrackless aligned grid structure. That is that model on most data sets. That is this BSG. That is, if it is backtrackless, it can be more efficient when it is compared to the Bayesian. That can be reflected from the data set of the protein and IMDVM. So the conclusion they have taken, they have suggested a new model, that is backtrackless aligned spatial graph convolution models to learn effective features for graph classification. The model is much more prudent in terms of arbitrary such graphs into fixed size backtrackless aligned grid structure, and they are performing a new backtrackless spatial path convolution operation on grid structure. So there are lesser information loss. They discriminate the importance between the specified graph vertices during the process of spatial graph convolution operation. They also significantly reduce the tottering problem. Okay, that has been explained to other GCNs. In the next course of actions, the authors has indicated a hints that what can be the next course of research. So they are targeting to learn the optimal structure and parameter setting of in each individual data set, so that can improve their classification performance. Thanks. So with your permission, so I am just, this is the presentation of the article that I've studied. So with your permission, I am just stop sharing this presentation. Good day. For any eventually this presentation and the papers will be shared to all of you. So my suggestion my request to you, appeal to you, that you can exchange your questions, queries, and any know-hows, and any mutual discussion onto this area is widely welcome. Have a good day. Thank you.